Now, if we look at the overall unit rankings from a pro football focus kind of snapshot, this is snap by snap evaluation basis. I'm not the biggest PFF guy, but I do think it tells a story. Packers, overall, they're 12th, slightly above average. That's about where they are. Offense, 9th, defense, 21st, special teams, 26th. So the offense is carrying this team. Defensively, 21st, it's Joe Barry, their DC. We'll talk about him. He's not great. Special teams, I can't think of the last time the 49ers played a team that were ranked worse than us in special teams. There's only 5 of them. Technically 6 now. We bumped up a little bit after last week. Here's the 49ers ranks in those same categories. Offense first, defense second, special teams 25th. That's where we suck. And overall, first, number 1. Big difference. Big difference. Now, if we talk about the coaching staff, and I think that this is really, really important. Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan's guy, coached under him for 10 years. And this was a really cool story from Chris Forrester, our offensive line guy. He was talking about all the way back in Tampa, and this is a little bit of a long clip. But again, the nostalgia in me, I had no choice. Here's him talking about the first time that he met Kyle Shanahan and Matt LaFleur.
Well, no, it was, like I told you, I think I've said this before. It's one of my favorite stories about Matt and Sean is I'm interviewing and I'm suited up and I got Kyle and Mike Shanahan sitting right where you guys are, right across this big staff table. I'm on the chalkboard and I'm sweating. Oh my gosh, here's Mike and here's Kyle, and I get my chance to interview with them. And then in the corner, there's these 2 guys sitting there with short haircuts, all buttoned up and young. I mean, young. And I'm wondering, what are they doing here? I'm here, I'm talking to Mike and Kyle, I'm trying to get a job, and it turns out it's Matt and Sean. And they look like the 2 guys I told you, they look like they're going to pick up the free agents at the airport, and then they're going to bring them back for meals. And literally they're working their tails off. Matt's the quarterback coach, Sean's working quality control. And I just knew we had a special atmosphere. The group we had there with Coach Shanahan, how he built the thing, how he taught us all, how he tried to change the culture and environment there, then how Kyle was with his dad, and then how they trained. We worked all together to learn this thing, and then to put the thing together with RG3. That's when you kind of saw everybody kind of coming to their own, when their own flair of creativity. And Kyle gives guys a lot of freedom. Hey, Matt, you're in charge of third down. Sean, you're in charge of red zone. Bring me your report before I delve into it. And seeing how they would come up with their own flair and spin on things. And some days it was, man, great job, Sean. Some days he yelled down the hall at Sean, what'd you do? Did you work out all day? You didn't do anything for my report here. It was Kyle, but it was the way we all got better. Kyle held us all accountable and did a real good job, as did his dad. And that's kind of how the thing grew.
And, it was interesting. There was a Monday night football game. I think it might have been a Sunday night football game when Al Michaels and Herb Street were talking about the Sean McVay tree versus the Kyle Shanahan tree, coaching tree. And they attributed LaFleur to McVay, which is right. And Al Michaels told this story. It was like, whoa. Whenever we said that to Shanahan, he got a little upset because he's like, whoa. LaFleur, I coached under me for 10 years. He was under Sean McVay for 1 year. So why does he get credit? He was under me for 10 years. That just kind of demonstrates the relationship, the competitiveness between Kyle and anything. That dude, he will compete with anybody. If we look at just kind of all the things with LaFleur, he's 44 years old, Michigan guy. Everybody on this staff, the Green Bay Packers, they're all Michigan people, which is really, really interesting to me. He was at Central Michigan. That's one of the places he was a GA. That's where he met Robert Saleh and all the relationships that kind of brought about. But he was with Shanahan in Houston as an offensive coordinator or offensive assistant. He was with Shanahan in Washington as quarterbacks coach. Then he was with Shanahan in Atlanta. Then he went with McVay for 1 year. Then he jumped to Tennessee as the OC, and then he's been with the Packers nonstop. 3-3 in the postseason. 2 of those 3 losses came against us. He's awesome. And you look at the offensive coordinator. Guess what? Shanahan guy. Adam Stinovich is the OC from Wisconsin, but he played at Michigan. And if you look at what he did as a career, he was a player on the practice squad for Kyle Shanahan back in Houston. He was an offensive tackle, didn't get much playing time, but kind of bounced around the league for like 2 to 3 years just on practice squads and whatever else. But again, he was with the 49ers as a coach. His Shanahan's first year's here. He was an assistant offensive line coach, the offensive coordinator. Then he went to the Packers to be with LaFleur, but the everything ties through Shanahan. That's what it is. And now, if we look at the defense, Joe Barry, who Packers fans have been wanting to fire forever, and guess what? College, where'd he go? Michigan. As a coach, USC, bounced around. He was actually with the 49ers for 1 year in the year 2000 under Mariucci. He was a defensive quality control coach, then bounced around everywhere before he wound up with the Rams, and McVay, then the Packers. So the coaching staffs know each other. There's no doubt about that. And they're a little bit of a lesser version of everything we do. Shanahan is the original. Doesn't mean LaFleur is a bad coach. He's a great coach. I think this year has proven he's a great coach. Winning with Aaron Rodgers is pretty easy, but can you do it in the postseason? That's where they've struggled. We'll see. They got one win. Beat up the Dallas Cowboys. Congratulations. That's huge. Shout out to Colin to the super chat here. He says, last time the week came on a bye, we made the red hot Jags look silly. Look, man, every time the 49ers come off rest, they are dominant. The week off before the season, they come out and blow out the Pittsburgh Steelers at home, destroyed them. Bye week, come out, the Jaguars won 5 in a row at that point, embarrassed the heck out of them. Probably the most dominating performance this year. No doubt about that. You look at the week where the 49ers had extra time because of the Thursday game. Here we go. And then they played the Eagles, right? They had the Thursday game against Seattle. Then they played the Eagles, right? 11 days rest. You blow out the Eagles in Philly 42-19. I mean, come on. Like what is it that you want? Every time they went out there, they just blow teams out. When they played Thursday, week 3, I'm going a little bit out of order, against the Giants. They had 11 days against the Cardinals. Guess what? Beat them by 19. Anytime the 49ers come off rest and they're healthy, a lot of that has to do with the scheme and the talent. The 49ers are one of the best teams in the NFL for a reason. They have the best players. Shout out to John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan for building this amazing team. That's what makes them different. When they're when they're healthy, they're better. It's very simple. You look at the 3-game skid where we lost, Debo, Trent Williams, CMC, all roughed up. That's what it is. It's very simple. Now, the Ravens game, yeah, we had some injuries, but man, Ravens just played a hell of a game. We had 5 turnovers. That's what it is. Can the Packers do that? Can they force 5 turnovers? I'm not so sure. Kia right here. Packers about to pack their bags, head to Wisconsin. I'll give Jordan Love his credit, but right now Green Bay is in our way. Yeah, and you don't want to be in our way. That's not a good place. Now, if we look at the injury report of both these teams, both of them are relatively healthy. The 49ers are extremely healthy. We've got one guy out. That's it. Cleveland Farrell. Thankfully we took advantage of not one but 2 defensive end trades, Randy Gregory and Chase Young. Chase Young will start this week. Dre Greenlaw is questionable, but he practiced all week, and it was just Achilles tendonitis. He looks fine. He'll be out there. Everybody else is full go. You look at the Packers, not the same thing. They didn't even practice this week. No contact, no pads, no anything, just walkthroughs. Their backup defensive end, their number 3 defensive end, Kingsley Enagbare, he's out. He's been declared out. Now, they have 4 questionable players: Jair Alexander, A.J. Dillon, Isaiah McDuffie, a linebacker, and their punter, Daniel Whalen. Their punter's sick. He's going to be all right. Their linebacker has a neck issue. He's a backup guy anyway, more of a special teams guy, similar to our DFF, if that makes sense. A.J. Dillon's got a thumb issue, hasn't played in a long time, but I think he is going to play this week. He's questionable, but I think he'll be out there. Jair Alexander, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to play. Hasn't practiced, hasn't suited up, hasn't done anything, but they got him as questionable. His ankle injury, whenever he got injured last week, they took the helmet away from him. And now the game was out of hand. That was in the 3rd quarter. But, I mean, if you can't practice in a walkthrough, I don't know. They have to have him. Have to. Because their secondary's bad already. Carrington Valentine's their other starting corner. Come on, man. Jair Alexander might be the best player on their defense, might be the best player on their team. They got to have him. They got to. Ed, right here, John, we play so physical to rest does not hurt this team. I laugh as the media talking about rust. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It really, really doesn't. Especially with how hard the 49ers practice. They practice harder than everybody else. So, and yeah, right here, Mark, Juwan Jennings has no injury designation whatsoever. You talk about guys setting the tone physically. You want to know the biggest difference between the Cowboys and the 49ers? One, we're a much better team, and we beat them by 32 points, right? Packers beat them by 16, which is awesome. But we beat them by 32. And as a lot of the Packers fans want to point it out, yeah, but we pulled our starters. Well, guess what? We pulled our starters in the third damn quarter of that game. Third quarter. So maybe our depth's better than yours too. Maybe that's the point the Packers fans are trying to make. I don't know. I understand. I don't think you understand, Packers fans. I don't think you get it. But the fact that Juwan Jennings is back, the physicality, that is the number one thing that separates us from the Dallas Cowboys. We play for souls. Dre Greenlaw, he's coming for you. And this is the same officiating crew that we had against the Eagles. Dre Greenlaw might get a little leeway. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. They had to literally change the rule book on how to handle things because this officiating crew messed things up so bad. With Big Dom. Yeah, Big Dom. Where are you at now, Big Dog? All right, now the 49ers history with the Packers, it's immense. This will be the 10th matchup in the postseason between these two teams, which is the most all time between any two teams. That's huge. That's all. That's something to be celebrated between these two teams. Now, the 49ers are 5-4 against them currently in the playoffs. But if we look all time, the Packers lead the overall series 38-33 in one tie. The last time these two teams met was, guess what? In the playoffs. This was the 13-10 victory when we got the blocked punt and all that stuff. And we beat, again, this coaching staff, same coaching staffs. We beat them with Jimmy Garoppolo going 11 of 19 for 131 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 4 sacks. And we still won the game. Why? Because our defense could shut down Aaron Rodgers, and that's exactly what they did. He threw for 0 touchdowns. He had sacked 5 times. Rodgers couldn't do anything. The weather was freezing. It was terrible. That's supposed to be an advantage to the Packers. It was not that game. Why? Because we ran the ball. How did we run the ball? With Debo and Elijah Mitchell. We didn't have CMC back then. They had Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. Guess what? Aaron Jones, 12 rush attempts for 41 yards. Not good. A.J. Dillon, 7 rush attempts, 25 yards. Not good. Same linebackers, same running backs. A lot of the same defensive line for the 49ers. We've already seen some of these matchups. George Kittle went off, 4 catches, 63 yards. We didn't even have CMC. Now listen to the wide receivers they had. Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams ain't suiting up, guys. I don't know what to tell you. He's not going to be out there. Now, I do love the young wide receivers that the Packers have, and we're going to talk about them in a little bit. I absolutely think that they have a great base, and I think the 49ers and Packers are going to be playing each other for a long time. I thought the same thing about the Eagles, too, though. Now they're done. D-U-N. Over. Listen to the secondary, though. This is the biggest difference. The CMC, Brock Purdy, that's huge. Listen to who we had starting on freaking defense. Dante Johnson. I love Dante Johnson, but let's be honest. He's not Charvarius Ward. He's not Diamador Lenore. He's not Ambry Thomas. He's not. K'Wan Williams. I love K'Wan Williams. This was the last part of his career. Jaquiski Tart. Yeah, right? Emmanuel Mosley. Now, that one I liked. That one I wish he was still with us. But it's like, come on, man. We did not have the secondary that we have now. We didn't have it. Josh Norman got snaps in that damn game. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if the Packers team that we played then was better than the Packers that are now. No doubt about it. That was a better team. The weather neutralized it. The special teams play neutralized it. The Packers probably should have won that game, but we made more plays down the stretch. But, man, you look at the 49ers team then and now, completely different. This 49ers team now is 100 times better than the team that we had then. It's not even close. It's not even close.
Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast.